Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. No. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of the Beaver Banter podcast. I'm Nick Daschel, and I cover Oregon State football for the Oregonian OregonLive. We're coming off an easy weekend where the Beavers had a bye week. I hope you guys are all rested up and ready for the second month of the season. Starts this Saturday with Colorado State and Research Stadium. Joining me, as always, is former Oregon State defensive end Isaac Hodgins. Isaac, how did you take care of your football jonesing on Saturday with no Beavers to watch?
Oh, man, I was a little preoccupied with, the Georgia game and the Bama game, and Boise State was looking a little dangerous out there, not going to lie. So that's got me intrigued for the last game of the season.
Boy, that Alabama game, that was wild.
Yeah, that was insane.
We almost kind of knew that was going to happen once it got to be 28-0. That they'd let their foot off the pedal just a little bit, but I didn't think that Alabama was actually have to come back and win the game. I thought it might get close, but I didn't think it'd be that close.
Yeah, that game was insane. And then Boise State, their running back that guy is nice. He's good. Ashton Genty.
Yeah,
he is good.
Who's the best running back you faced in college?
Oof. Faced some good ones. Now I think back on it, Ohio State, my freshman year, they had J.K. Dobbins, I think it was, right?
Yeah.
He was pretty dang good. Zach Moss for Utah, he was good. I'm sure there's a ton. I'm forgetting.
The guy from Cal last year. Did he play against you guys last year?
Yeah,
I think
he
did.
Yeah, he did. Or he was the shorter guy, or Cal had a really good guy he was a transfer, but he was good.
Yeah,
he was a harder runner.
Yeah, but I don't think you never saw an Ashton Genty before. I take it.
I mean, J.K. Dobbins is pretty good, so I mean, he was. But Ashton Genty, he was. I mean,
SC probably had a running back, and the Jones from Stanford, he was pretty good.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy when you're playing, you don't really think about like who you're playing so much as like just their tendencies and all that kind of stuff. Unless, I mean, even when we play like Caleb Williams, it was just like 15, their quarterback. Rather
coaches do the same thing. Yeah, 15 or 25. He's pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Got a name for me there, Coach? Call him number 25. I just call him by the name.
Exactly.
So, yep. The game. Yeah, I mean, I started thinking, God, I'm glad I'm covering games on Saturday because I'm not sure I could take a whole entire day of watching football all day long. You start to feel like you've just kind of wasted an entire day if you get up at 9 and you're still watching at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the way it works.
A day well spent.
I actually watched some of the President's Cup yesterday. That's mostly kind of what I was watching. Some of the golf tournament, but
yeah. It's tough. You could get lost in this game and forget. Hey, there's a election coming on there at the end of this month. Especially when you're in season, you don't even think about all the stuff that's going on outside of the world, outside of football. So it would have been 2020. Yeah, you didn't really go through an election when you were in football, when you were playing, because 2020 was the COVID year, and yeah,
you guys. Well, I guess you started practicing a little bit toward that time, but
yeah, we had that was when NCAA instituted a rule where there was no, you weren't allowed to practice on election days, and that was only really instituted one time, and then all the other elections that we had practices on. So I was like, what was the point of that rule?
Our guys in the locker room, are they pretty cognizant of what's going on, or are they just,
we'll have debates here and there. We'll have our locker room heated debates where it's just like, it usually ends up like 10 guys are yelling at one guy, and then
you mean 10 guys are yelling at Cody Anderson?
Yeah, exactly, right. Yeah, or in the defensive line room is just, we just have debates over anything. So, but no, you kind of get in a bubble where it's like the only reason we cared about COVID was because it was like, oh, we can't practice anymore. What the heck? But if we were allowed to practice, we probably wouldn't care all too much about it. Just
this being a regular year, this being a regular, just a regular year, do you think guys are paying much attention to it, or is there so much football going on that they just it's hard?
I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it. It's unfortunate, but when you're just so focused on one thing, you kind of forget all these other things that are important.
Yeah. Well, as mentioned at the top, Beavers had a bye week last week. Team took a few days off. I think they practiced late in the week. What was a bye week like for you?
It was just a week to recover, a week to kind of prepare and get your bearings about you, kind of regroup. Mainly is just focusing on recovering your body, because people don't understand, like, by the time you're at this point in the season, your body's already tore up because you just had fall camp, where with fall camp, you practice more during that month than you do the rest of the season, I believe. Or it's pretty close. And so your body's beat up from fall camp, and, you had summer workouts. And so, we're only 4 games in, but you're still beat up, and your body's taking a toll at this point. We like to call it mid-season healthy. So at this point, you're mid-season healthy. Everyone's banged up, and everyone's got a bump or a bruise or a limp in their step. So you just got to abuse the training room and get in there and overuse those guys and girls in there.
Yeah, the old timers, they'd be looking at you, calling you guys soft.
Yeah, exactly.
No bye weeks. They had double practices during. I'm sure your dad went through that. I'm sure.
Yeah, I could only imagine like a fall camp back in 80s and 90s, where it's just 2-a-days. You're putting your pads on for the second time. Everything's still sweaty from the first practice. Yeah. It just sounds horrible. We were spoiled for sure.
No, smart is what it is. That was just dumb to do that. Yeah, because they would do things like, restrict water and that was just dumb.
Yeah.
But they didn't know any better. So how did a bye week evolve for you over the course of 6 years? Like your freshman year, where you're still trying to figure it all out, and then by the time you could be a senior, was there a difference how you approach a bye week?
Yeah, well, I think definitely just how you take care of your body. You think that, I have a bye week, let me just lay in my bed all day. That's like recovering. It's not. Like, movement is medicine. You got to keep your body moving, and you realize that, like, you got to get up and actually do some things. And then our defensive line coach used to always say, there is no days off, just days to attend to the things that you've been neglecting and ignoring. So you got laundry you got to do, and, clean the house, do some homework. I'm sure there's some guys who just didn't do any schoolwork or, so there's just a lot of things you got to get caught up on, call your parents or whatever it may be.
Right.
Just take advantage of the time off to handle the things you
Did anyone ever bolt for like a couple of days R&R? I want to say it was Cody Anderson told me he'd go like fishing or hunting for a day or something like that. I always wanted to go fishing with Cody or hunting. Well, I went fishing with him one time and we went frogging, but Cody's always like,
these hunters, man, they want to get up at 3 a.m. and go out into the woods. I'm like, dude, this is our day off. Like, I'm not getting up at 3 a.m. I'm sleeping in, dude. But yeah, there's definitely hardcore guys like that. I know Luke Musgrave and Corey Stover, they're huge fishermen. So yeah, just enjoy some normal life. You know?
You didn't do that, of course.
I was locked into the defensive line room watching film on next week's opponent. So,
yeah. I mean, I always see you guys at camp, and actually after practices, your first thing you guys do is jump in that cold tub.
mm-hmm.
And I always think, God, that seems like a good idea, but then I'll do like a cold shower and I'll go, God, that's cold. I can't imagine a cold tub's got to be 10 times colder than that, but it's good for you. I know it's good for you.
You'd be surprised the amount of babies we have on the team who Coach Mack has to just shove them into the cold tub because they don't want to get in. So it's not everyone's just tough just jumping in, but there are the dudes who just jump in and slouch all the way to the bottom and just sit there and watch film.
Well, like the first few times you did, I'm sure.
Oh yeah,
it was a shock.
Yeah, I always got full body in. Just it's only 8 minutes or whatever it may be. So.
Oh, you did up to 8 minutes?
Well, yeah, 8 minutes was Coach Mack would start a timer. He's like, all right, get in. They get in and starts a timer for 8 minutes and then hop out afterwards. So it gets cold though. The water gets dirty.
Did it feel good or
you would think like right after fall camp, like, oh, I can't wait to get into the cold tub. And then, you're standing around in the shaded area for a little bit. You get a little cold and you're like, I don't want to get in anymore. But like right after practice, if you go in and just jump in the tubs, it feels great.
Yeah. Probably not so much in November though.
Yeah, definitely not. You're using the indoor cold tub, and then you're contrasting with the hot tub. More so hot tub than cold tub at that point.
Yeah. Was there a guilty pleasure that maybe you did during a bye week that you might not do during a regular week?
Oh yeah, I would probably hitting up some sort of sloppy food item like a Five Guys or Five Guys usually are in and out. I was going there and just I was going in on a meal. But those were kind of my guilty pleasures I like to run to.
So what is the number one restaurant in Corvallis for the football players? Is it Local Boys or is it something else?
Football players notoriously have bad diets. I would say it's probably McDonald's, just because I don't know.
Really?
Yeah,
McDonald's?
I think it is. It's just, football players eat so bad for some reason, and look good still somehow after two Big Macs.
Oh. Yeah, but local boys, it's not really all that good for you either, but it tastes good. I can't imagine some of those guys will love that stuff.
Oh, yeah, we love local boys, but, something about McDonald's, man, those French fries, they'll get you.
Well, I guess you can get more bang for your buck at McDonald's too. So
yeah, exactly.
So just kind of taking a quick recap of the, what we've got from the season so far. Like I said before, they're 3-1. Someone asked me I do a weekly mailbag on OregonLive, and it asked me for a grade. And I said, well, I think C+ to this point. I said, I kind of thought, the offense is showing signs of improvement. It seems every week like they're adding new things to it and it's getting a little better. But defensively, I need to see more, and especially up front. And I know that could be a personnel issue because they've lost some key players since mid-August. But what would you slap on as a grade through 4 games on the overall?
I would say overall we're looking at a B-, just because we have a winning record. Call it how you see it. Things probably aren't the best, but we're 3-1, so that's a good place to be sitting. So I would say probably B-.
Yeah.
But I just because of the record, that's a good record to have. Any other year we'd be like, hey, this is pretty. It's just the wins haven't been very. They've been definitive, but there's been some shaky parts where it's like, if we were playing a Boise State, this might have gone a different way.
Yeah, but even at 3-1 feels like to me what everybody expected. It wasn't like, I think 2-2 people would be going, that's not very good. But, because they would have had to lose to either San Diego State or Purdue. And so 3-1 feels like, about where they should be. Also 3-1 is where Oregon State's been at the last 4 years. Every year they've been 3-1 through 4 games for some, but one of those games didn't happen to be against Oregon either. So there's that. What area of the team has impressed you the most through 4 games?
Oof. I think I'm probably most impressed. It's got to be between the back end. Those defensive backs, got to be between them and our running backs. I think the running backs is just kind of, I would say I'll put the running backs first. They're just kind of a bread and butter of Oregon State football. Jam and Hank, they're both killing it. So I've been super impressed with them. I think it's a good duo, like where one comes out, you got another one coming in. As a defense, you don't get a break, And then I would say I'm impressed with like Skylar Thomas and our defensive backs. Skylar in particular, I think he's been doing really well.
Yeah. I'm going to say offensive line, only because just given the injuries and the turnover they've had on the right side of the line. Right. I think going into the season, people thought, the offensive line would be pretty good. Not sure if they'd be as good as it's been, but the offensive line in the last several years hasn't had any injuries. They've sent out pretty much the same line almost every week. And this year it's been a revolving door at right guard. And, they've had to move, and Van Wells missed a game at center, and Vincic has played center and right guard. And, and yet, they're running the ball pretty well. I can't say I'm not certain on the pass blocking yet, because they really haven't, unleashed that part of the game. But I don't recall, it being terrible. So I kind of think the offensive line to me has been sort of the pleasant surprise of the team so far. Yeah,
I think all things considering, that those injuries with T-Volt on the right side, that was definitely tough. And then having your center out against Oregon, that's the captain of the offensive line, so that's always hard. But I think Josh Gray's been done his thing of kind of leading that group and making sure that they are prepared with going out there. And obviously it's tough when you lose a top 10 pick, left tackle. It's tough when you lose that guy, but I think Josh has been good kind of leading these guys. And Jake Levengood's been helping out with the offensive line too, so he brings in that wealth of expertise.
What area of the team do you feel like you need to see some more improvement if there's going to be a bowl or something, something better down the road?
I think you've already said it, is the drop back pass. Like I don't feel like we've seen a lot of true, hey, I'm going to take 5-step drop back and I'm going to go through my routes and find the open guy. Like I don't think we've seen much of that. And I don't know if that's just not a part of the game plan anymore, or if we just don't feel comfortable doing it. But I think if we can expand on that, that'll help us be able to open up the run game even more, because the run game is there.
Yeah, you're right. Trent Walker's been really good, but he's been the only reliable, target out there, really. Right. And they throw to him a lot. Now maybe, Clemens, he's back practicing and playing now, and give him another week. You get into the mix, maybe he makes a difference. And Zach Card, he made a difference in the Purdue game. Maybe he's got some confidence going. Mm-hmm. Jeremiah Noga, I haven't really seen a lot of him. I'm kind of wondering, when he's going to get involved in the passing game. And he played quite a bit against Purdue, but again, I haven't really seen. Just seems like one of those 3 guys needs to be, the 1A guy with Trent Walker, and then, get a tight end into the mix at some point.
Please get a tight end into the mix, man. You show some love for my tight ends, man. They got some guys who can do it, but they just got to do it.
I know everybody. That's all people think about tight ends is how they make passes they catch, and but they're obviously valuable to this offense in run blocking. But
Right.
That's why you play. The difference between being a tight end and offensive lineman is you can catch balls. If you're not going to catch balls, I mean, you might as well be an offensive lineman.
Yeah.
Really, you might as well go eat at McDonald's a little bit more.
Exactly. Or local boys.
So, yeah, or something like that.
Get an extra local moco going. There you go.
I still think the up front on defense is we got to see some improvement there. And like I said, I know there's been some injuries there, so it's not all just a performance. Guys aren't playing up. There's been some guys missing, but I'm just looking statistically at some of this stuff. I mean, that it's not all about sacks and things like that to affect the quarterback, but the Idaho State game, they had 11 quarterback hits, which I think was that week was like first in the nation or something real close to that.
Yeah.
But since then, they really had, in the next 3 games, they've had 5 quarterback hits total out of those 3 games. They're just not really getting to the quarterback. And, there's been 1 sack over the last 3 games and 10 tackles for loss. They're really toward the bottom in all those sacks and tackles for loss type categories. And,
yeah,
again, I don't know what stats, Trent feels. I was going to ask him that tomorrow about what he feels like is the most important stats to him. But I mean, it just seems like some of those things got to start trending upward.
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of aggressive, even run game kind of stunts. When I played, we did a lot of zipping and zapping, and one guy's slanting. The full front is slanting this way, and then you're bringing some guy off the linebacker off the edge. I'm just not seeing a lot of aggressive attack mentality in the front 7. And I don't know if that's just a new sort of game plan. Don't mistake. I believe was Keith Hayward. Was he in the NFL before coming to?
Yeah, he was at the Raiders.
Yeah, so I mean that might be part of it. Of where in the NFL it's more. I think we talked about it before, but it's more about the personnel that you got and, lining Aaron Donald one-on-one and getting him to get to the quarterback. In college, it's a lot more, plays that help people to make the play. It's more having a strategy and less about who necessarily is on the field, but more about what the call is. So I don't know if there's maybe a disconnect there. I don't know, but it just doesn't seem like the defense that I played in. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's, like I said, that's got to be an area where it feels like it needs to take a step forward if they want to continue to, keep, because these games are going to get a lot tougher in October and November for sure. So,
yeah.
Well, then I'm looking at special teams, and I don't know how much you pay attention to special teams, but they've only had, Everett Hayes has been pretty good on kickoffs. They've only had 3 returns, so there's really not really losing anything in the kickoff game. And then, but he's only 2 out of 6 field goals, which again, half of those are over 40. So I'm not sure, the small samples but the problem is he's a 57% career kicker on field goals with 47 attempts, which is that's really poor for college. I mean, that's the number. I looked up the number 100 team the last couple of years in college was hitting over 67%. Really? So, man, I don't know what you do there. You got a senior kicker who's just not delivering, and it feels like that's going to cost him a game at some point if he can't start drilling some of the kicks inside of 40 yards.
Yeah, you said it was 57% over his career.
That's his career average for over the 5 years he's been kicking at Oregon State.
And that's low.
So, that's really low.
Oh man, my perspective was different. Like I thought Everett was a good kicker. I still think
he had the 1 year. He had the 1 year where he was really good.
Yeah,
and then he had
like
the
61-yard
injury. Sappington came in and kicked for a while, but yeah, he's just not accurate. And he had the 61 2-yarder at Colorado.
Yeah.
So he's had some good kicks. I just feel like, man, at some point it's gonna bite him in a game here if they can't deliver on kicks. But that's a nitpick on special teams. Yeah, the punting's good. The punting's been really good. When they need to, when Trent decides he's not going to go for it, the punting is good. And then the return teams,
let's make sure we don't find out
below average.
Yeah,
you find out what? Find out what?
I said let's not find out anything else about our punt unit. Let's just keep going for it and not get in that situation anymore.
The return teams have been a little below average, but I'm not sure how much was expected there after you lose Silas Bolden and Anthony Gould. So I don't feel like it's killed them, but they haven't really. That was a weapon the last several years, and it hasn't been. That part of the game has not been there. So
yeah,
I don't know. That seems like an area that doesn't get looked at hard enough, but maybe. I don't know. That could be an area that need to see some more improvement. I guess the bottom line is we need to see some more improvement in special teams. That seems to be fair on that. So
yeah, and kind of when all things are even, special teams is kind of where you win the game. Without special teams is kind of like that equalizer where our offense and defense is well matched up. Let's try to win the game on special teams. And we've seen how we've won games in the past with the Oregon game, 2 years ago, or 3 years ago now it was. But special teams is if that could be a weapon for you, it's an advantage for sure.
I mean, the one good special team play I can remember this season so far was the block punt at San Diego State, where they found a weakness in San Diego State's scheme, and they exploited it and blocked a kick, and that set up their third touchdown. If I want to, it was in the second half, but I mean, it hasn't killed Oregon State, but at some point it's got to help win you a game. At some point, feels like as these games get tougher. So well, that's kind of looking at the 4 games that they've played now. Going into October, you got Colorado State this Saturday. They're 2-2. Nevada's 2-3. Then you got UNLV, which is on a heater. They're undefeated in the top 25, and they they lost their quarterback, and then they win by 45 on Saturday.
Yeah,
so
that was crazy.
And then California is just a close loss at Florida State from being undefeated. So that's your October, and is 3-1 in the cards again? Can they go 3-1 in October with this schedule? Maybe you're thinking 4-0. I don't know. Maybe you're thinking 2-2. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, I would love 4-0, but as you said, I think this next one is home, and then the rest are away, I believe. Is that what?
No, UNLV is at Research.
Okay, that's good. UNLV, as you said, is on the heater. We always have that Reeser effect, so I'd like to have a few more of those back at Reeser, but I think if you could at least win the ones at home, that would be good. And then, obviously, Cal's a tougher opponent. They're kind of showing their colors here, but it's interesting seeing these Mountain West teams, which are now moving up, right? UNLV joined the pack, correct?
Yes. Yeah. No. They're the one that didn't. They're not going to. No, they grabbed the Mountain West money and decided to stay. I mean, which to me was just a terrible decision.
Yeah, I don't know why.
That's on them. That's on them. But
yeah.
But Colorado State, like I said, they're 2-2. They got. I mean, they got run off the field by Texas, but that's no shame. Texas is drilling a lot of teams these days.
Yeah.
And then they lost to Dion, a pretty one-side score, and then they've won their other 2 games. They're kind of they're a team that They're about 50-50 offense. They don't really do anything special on offense. Defensively, the issue with Oregon State will be is Colorado State's much better defending the run than they are the pass. So
Yeah.
Oregon State wants to get the passing game going. Colorado State might be the place to try it.
Yeah.
So if that's got to be a W. I feel like if that's not a W, then the season might end up, running off the rails. So, and the next week with Nevada, same thing. Nevada's 2-3. Their only wins are over Troy, which is 1-4, and then they beat Eastern Washington. But the game is at Nevada, which you've played there.
Yeah.
What's up? The only thing I remember about Nevada,
Elevation.
I mean, I covered the game there. I remember dropping. I'm standing at the top of the press box after the game, and I'm walking out. And I dropped my iPods from the top of the press box down to the parking lot.
Oh,
I mean, they went down like 3-4 stories. It was, and I saw them bounce off the asphalt, and I thought, "Oh God, these things are dead." But it took me about 10 minutes to find them, but I found them and they worked. So
Nevada's got that. They've got like that big kind of Texas high school football stadium kind of feel, where it's kind of like bleachers and. It's an interesting stadium. It's an interesting place, but yeah, your lungs will get the burning up there if you're not in shape and conditioned and ready. But as you said, Colorado State, that's a must win. And then if you could get some big wins on the road, obviously San Diego State, that was a good boost to your confidence being able to win on the road. But winning on the road is tough. So if you could win on the road in these places, you're setting yourself up for. You're making yourself more confident of like, okay, we could go into these hostile situations and get a win. And, you're building confidence in the coaching staff with your culture and how you handle traveling. So it's just all around good if you could go get a win on the road. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like they're going to be 5-1 after Nevada, unless something weird happens. And then UNLV in California, that's where you find out what this team's made of.
Yeah.
UNLV plays great defense. They like to run the ball. That's exactly what Oregon State wants to do. And I mean, it's at Reeser, and I mean, that feels like a toss-up game. The game I feel like I actually think California is more winnable than UNLV.
Really?
Cal doesn't score. I mean, they're the kind of team they keep you in the game because they don't score. They don't score.
Yeah.
I mean, they beat Auburn 21-14. I think they beat San Diego State 24-10 at home. It was like 17-9 against Florida State. They lost. Now they have Jade Knott. Did you? That was the running back I was trying to remember. Jade Knott. He and Damian Martinez kind of battled all last year for the offensive player of the year.
I think he might have been hurt when he played for us.
Yeah, I want to say he might have been hurt in that game too
when he played us.
Yeah, I do not expect that game to be 52-40 like last year.
Yeah,
that was. And I don't expect some defensive end to come standing in the backfield and catch a touchdown pass for Oregon State either, like last year.
Hey, come on! I know they got to bring that back into the mix. There, we need another. Maybe get Thomas Collins back there or something.
I have not seen that. But they haven't really played. They haven't really done much to Jake Reichel either.
They haven't done much fullback stuff, or I haven't seen I haven't seen any 21 personnel other than. I haven't seen. Have you seen two running backs in the backfield? And
not very often.
Yeah.
I mean,
a handful of times.
Just a very, very, maybe I want to say a handful of times, maybe.
Yeah, not as many as a tight end has caught a ball. Not as many times as that.
Wow, you're really down on this tight end stuff.
Man, I'm upset about it just because it's like get the tight ends involved. Those guys are valuable. They're valuable. And we got some good ones, JT and Bryce.
I'm sure Jermaine Terry would agree with you.
Yeah.
Get me the ball.
Yeah.
He hasn't caught a ball here yet.
Please, give them the ball. Please.
It'll happen. It'll probably happen here. Maybe this is the week that happens.
Maybe they're watching this podcast and they're like, they're right. Let's put in Y delay. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Put in a little tunnel screen or something. Get them going somehow.
Anything, yeah. Was that the only pass you caught? Did you catch another ball last year?
Yeah, I caught one against Washington State. I don't even think that was a pass. That was not even a play that I was supposed to get the ball. It was kind of like a hot route and just stood there. And then DJ threw it. I was like, oh man, he threw the ball. I was shocked that he threw it. So I got about 2 receptions to my name. I got soft hands, runs in the family.
Yeah. Did you think that might have been your path to getting in the NFL somehow, was being a fullback?
Yeah, that's what I tried to do for pro day, especially because my body started deteriorating and I couldn't handle carrying this weight anymore. I was like, let me just drop some weight and try to go fullback. But I think at that point it was kind of too late, unfortunately.
Man, fullback. I mean, well, your dad played fullback, obviously, but I just think fullback might be one of the toughest positions to play in the NFL because you're just like a battering ram on every play.
Yep.
You're just killing guys and getting beat up on every play. So
my dad likes
if your body's falling apart, probably not a good position to play.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, my dad used to make the joke that he used to be 6'4" before he started playing fullback, and now he's 6'1". So he gets the spine compressed, and it's an honest day's work, that's for sure.
Yeah. Does he feel pretty good these days?
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm sitting about around 225. I'm feeling good. Trying to drop even a little more. We'll see.
Well, we'll see. That'd be. I wish I could do that.
Yeah.
So anyway, like I said, I'm looking at 3-1 for October. You're somewhere in that neighborhood, but you'd rather see 4-0. But realistically, what do you think?
I think if you win 2, if you could win the 2. Maybe 1 home game, 1 away game. I think 2-2. That might be where I'm going.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, that's going to do it for with no game. There's not there's a little bit less to talk about, but that should do it for this week's Beaver Banter podcast. You can find this pod wherever you access podcasts. You can also watch a video recording of this YouTube from OregonLive or wherever you get YouTube. See Isaac's pretty face
and such a gem to look at.
They loved watching you last week doing the defensive line stuff on there.
Get the hand motions going.
Yeah, they like that. So anyway, we'll see you next week.
Go Beavs.